What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. First and foremost, before we get started with today's video, just want to remind y'all really quickly, hit the subscribe button, hit the post notification bell, hit that like button. Continue to support the channel, continue to help the channel grow as we approach football season. For everyone who has supported the channel just as much as just clicking on the video. Appreciate you guys a lot. Appreciate you guys that are going to continue to do it. And today I really want to talk about, I think, one of the most exciting things that we have heard about coming out of Atlanta Falcons training camp. And maybe not just training camp for this year, but training camp really in the past number of years. And that is what we are hearing about James Pearce Jr. Now, as we all know, the Falcons selected James Pearce Jr. with the 26th pick in this past April's NFL draft. We traded back up into the first round with the Los Angeles Rams. We gave up a second round pick. We got a third round pick in return, which we used on Xavier Watt. And we gave up a 2026 first round pick. Now, the thing is about giving up that first round pick in 2026. It's not like we only had one first round pick. We had two this year. We selected Jalen Walker earlier in the draft, and then we went back and we got James Pearce Jr. So the way that Terry Fontenot has described it, Raheem Morris has described it, and honestly, I think you really got to see from their viewpoint, we pretty much used our first round pick from next year this year. And when looking at where this team is and really the need for this team to come out and finally make it back to the playoffs, that is one of the things that you kind of needed to do. You needed to take that gamble on, especially for Terry Fontenot, who understands that if there's another year not making the playoffs, he may not see 2026. He may have not even been able to use that first round pick from next year that would have been even if, we didn't trade it. Because if, you don't make that trade and you're not aggressive, this is a thing. Aggressive football teams, you got to make aggressive moves in the NFL to win. And this is one of those instances. The Falcons made an aggressive move on a player that is very polarizing, that we obviously cannot deny the talent on the field that we saw while he was playing at Tennessee. He is one heck of an athlete. But there's also some questions about character issues. But the Falcons did something that the Falcons don't really do a whole lot, especially under Terry Fontenot, because the Falcons have always been known to pick these high character guys, these guys that you don't have any concerns about their character, these guys that wouldn't even dare to litter on the ground, always, picks up and are honorable citizens. And there's nothing wrong with that. You look at Bijan Robinson, you look at Jalen Walker, who we selected earlier in the draft. Examples of, high-class citizens. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a high-class citizen. Everyone should want to be that. But with a guy like James Pearce Jr., there have been reports that have questioned his character. But the Falcons did something that they don't typically do, especially with high draft picks under Terry Fontenot. And they took a gamble on a guy trusting the systems that they have put in place, trusting their locker room. And for a guy like James Pearce Jr., it's really going to be about harvesting, obviously, the talent that he has and maintaining and taming that character. Because James Pearce Jr., as I think we have all seen in training camp and heard about, if you were up in Flowery Branch, you probably saw it, has been one of the most active players out on the field. He has been not afraid to get into scuffles. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I really love seeing that. I love seeing that there's finally someone who isn't going to go out there and trying to play nice. Someone who is actually really going to push those limits. Because I'm going to remind y'all, back in the day, John Abraham, Patrick Kearney, these were some of our most successful pass rushers in recent memory. And you always heard about these guys getting into scuffles during training camp, getting into scuffles during practice. That's the type of energy that we need, because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say it pretty bluntly. the past couple years, the Falcons have really played it conservative and have kind of been a soft football team in many aspects. And we need somebody to step up and try to change that attitude. And if it's got to be a rookie like James Pearce Jr., then you got to do what you got to do. And I'm all for it. Now, when we're talking about what James Pearce Jr. could be, you're talking about someone who is, I mean, really, he's an athletic specimen. He ran a 4.47. He is 6'5", 242. So he's not the heaviest of guys. I think the main concern with him, obviously, is his ability to stop the run. And obviously that is something that I would like to see because, you know, seeing James Pearce Jr. walk around, you know, he does look kind of skinny. I would like to see him obviously put on a few extra pounds, you know, obviously not gain too much weight, not, you know, lose some of that ability. But I would like to see him put on a few extra pounds so that he can definitely work on his ability to stuff the run. But we brought this guy in primarily to get after the quarterback. That is what we have struggled with for nearly the past decade, really over the past decade, is getting to the quarterback. And that is what we draft 2 edge rushers in the first round to do. And really also looking at, you know, drafting Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker is that all-around guy. You can pretty much experiment with Jalen Walker and put him anywhere, even though I would like to primarily see him as a pass rusher coming off the edge, which is what the Falcons are going to do. But James Pearce Jr. is really that guy that you just want to be able to unleash on opposing quarterbacks. And with the talent that there is, obviously with just the pure athletic ability, he's going to definitely give you opportunities to do that. Now, I am going to say this, and it may scare a couple of y'all. James Pearce Jr. kind of in a way, at least from the pure standpoint of the eye test, he kind of reminds me of Vic Beasley when Vic Beasley was coming out of Clemson. Vic Beasley was a top 10 pick, and there was a lot of talent. Vic Beasley had a high floor, and we saw what Vic Beasley could have been that 1 year in 2016, those 15.5 sacks, which honestly played a pretty big part in us going to all the way to the Super Bowl that year. Having a guy that could get to the quarterback consistently. Now, I know that may scare a lot of y'all because obviously, as we know, after 2016, Vic Beasley kind of did disappear slowly, and he never got a second contract here. But I'm going to tell y'all something. I think one of the big concerns with Vic Beasley was how bought in he really was. And one of the things that the eye test cannot measure is the heart. James Pearce Jr. has the heart. If he didn't have the heart, I can tell you this, he would not be starting up scuffles. He would not be showing the passion that we see from him in practice from a rookie. He would not be bringing that energy. Vic Beasley never really brought the energy like we are seeing from James Pearce Jr. already. And I think with the character issues, I do in a way think that maybe they are overblown. Does this guy have an edge? Yes. But as we talked about, he's an edge rusher, and you gotta have an edge. The last time that the Falcons really had a guy with an edge was a pretty long time ago. And it is about time we get someone in here who has an edge, who has a fire lighted under them, and is ready to go out and wreak havoc. Because I'm telling you, it is what we're going to need to finally get to where we want to be. As I talked about in my video yesterday, some of the most important things to a successful football team and maintaining that success are obviously the quarterback, and then you want to have that guy coming off the edge. And James Pearce Jr., when you just look at the standpoint of getting to the quarterback, could really be that guy. And it excites me. I'm excited to see him actually out on the field, because one thing I think we can agree on is what you do in practice is all fine and well, but seeing him out on the field is a completely different thing. He is going to be playing in the preseason game Friday night versus the Lions. I'm going to be very excited to see how he does. I wouldn't anticipate we see him out there a whole lot. But when he is out there, I'm going to be looking for him specifically, looking to see how he's going up against other teams. Because if he's doing this to his own teammates, if he's wanting to start scuffles with his own teammates, imagine how much he is just barking at the chomps to go up against an opposing team. And it really just excites me even thinking about that, especially knowing we need that instant impact guy that we have not had in a long time. Anyways, with that being said, hope you all enjoyed the video. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow in the next video. Take care.